You're still watching Ways. Each year, we commemorate World Tuberculosis Day on March 24th to raise public awareness about the devastating health, social, and economic consequences of TB, and to step up efforts to end the global TB epidemic. The date marks the day in 1882 when Dr. Robert Koch announced that he had discovered the bacterium that causes TB, which opened the way towards diagnosing and curing this disease. TB remains one of the world's deadliest infectious killers. Each day, over 4,100 people lose their lives to TB and close to 28,000 people fall ill with this preventable and curable disease. Global efforts to combat tuberculosis have saved an estimated 66 million lives since the year 2000. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has reversed years of progress made in the fight to end TB. For the first time in over a decade, tuberculosis deaths increased in 2020. The theme, World TB Day 2022, Invest to End TB, Save Lives, conveys the urgent need to invest resources to ramp up the fight against TB and achieve the commitments to end TB made by global leaders. This is especially critical in the context of COVID-19 pandemic that has put end TB progress at risk, and to ensure equitable access to prevention and care in line with WHO's drive towards achieving universal health coverage. So happy Tuberculosis International Day for Tuberculosis. I mean, Isi, what are your thoughts here? TB is supposed to have been eradicated, and yet here we are.
Basically, what has happened with TB still being in the society or still being in the world today, actually culminated from what was it called? When we had the COVID, and COVID, made the world think more about COVID. Nobody wanted to pay attention to any other ailment during the period of COVID, especially 2020. So I'm not surprised that currently we have an increase in the cases of tuberculosis. However, I think it is not too late for us to, ramp up attention on tackling tuberculosis and other ailments. Even HIV is on the increase as well currently, because a lot of things were put under the carpet because of the fact that people paid more attention to COVID. So I think it's time we all come together and, face other ailments.
Do something about it. Absolutely. Angie, what are your thoughts? Tuberculosis, it's supposed to be a thing of the past, and here we are.
Well, like Isi said, these issues we haven't paid enough attention to them over the years, and because of other issues that come up within the country, within the nation, globally, a lot of attention this has gone neglected for a while, and a couple of years now, and due to that, we're where we are today. We're finding ourselves here that the rate is going up, and then there's something, but there's always a chance there's something can be done. Like they say, there's an Igbo proverb that says, when you wake up is your morning. So there's always a time to wake up and actually get on it and do something about it. So if that awareness, if we're having the day and we're celebrating it, in that is important for us to know the reason why we're celebrating a day is to create awareness that people shouldn't neglect the fact that this issue is still here.
Okay, all right. So let's quickly delve into what did we find in today's news? Isi, should I start with you?
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go ahead.
Please. All right, mine, this society we are living in is quite patriarchal. And it even boiled down to us having something like that in NYSC, National Youth Service Corps. And my heading, this actually resonated with me because they are talking about married women to report in their husband's state. I just can't wrap my head around this context. But however, let me just give a brief run through of what actually transpired. This was by the National Youth Service Corps, and they said that they directed that married women should be, or female corps members should report for registration at the orientation camps in their husband's state of domicile, irrespective of the states indicated on their call-up letters. I think I think
you have a problem with that.
I think I have a huge problem with this because first we understand the fact that NYSC was founded on the context of no gender, no tribe, nothing. Basically, is there was some sort of egalitarian concept that was attached to the founding of the foundation of NYSC, and being the fact that we have this concept, why didn't they attribute it to the male counterparts as well? Why can't the male also, since they're married, they go to the female
where their wives are?
Where their wives are. So they should do the same thing to them as well. I think is totally wrong. And NYSC is a paramilitary organization, and they shouldn't attribute gender or the female concept into it, basically. Now, another thing is also looking at the female psyche. How is the female, the woman who is affected, how is she going to feel? Okay, she's going to her husband's state or her husband's place. Of course, when you get married, they'll tell you, don't go to your father's house, go to your husband's house. Now, it's just like relegating the woman's concept that, oh, whatever you do, you cannot rise above where we place you. And if the woman is trying to, find that little leverage for herself, and maybe the husband's family, how some in-laws can be, not all in-laws, some in-laws can be, and maybe they do not love this woman. Imagine her going there to do her youth service. She will pound, she will cook, she will
you don't even want to go there.
I still go back and do the work.
Well,
I mean, it's totally, I totally do not agree with this concept.
Well, somebody else will argue differently, that it's safer for you to be with family. So it might be the context in which they were looking at. But let me come to NJ. What did you find in the news for us? Because we have a juicy hot topic to discuss this evening.
I would say what caught my attention would be the story of the ex-governor, Willie
Obiano,
who was arrested a couple of days right after his handover on his way out of the country. And he was held in custody. He was held in custody for a week.
Right.
And I was just...
A week today,
Yes, I know. And he was just released, I think, yesterday. And it was just surprising that... I think for me, the reason why it was quite interesting is it's just the accountability, 42 billion. Especially
with what Soludo said about the treasury left almost empty for him to start
and then
his duties.
And 42 billion, there's no accountability. Who accounts for that? What happened to the money? What was it used for? Who is going to, and you've handed over and then you're heading on out of town to, live your life. But there has to be, this just brings it to book that there has to be some level of accountability.
With government officials.
You can't just empty the coffers of a state or money was given to you, and for that you are held, at least first of all, you are held accountable. So you have to be able to report on what was disbursed and how it was managed and how it was used.
Auditing is crucial.
And I heard this was I think the most amazing part of the entire story that actually caught my attention was the fact that it was withdrawn in cash.
That is conversation for another day. Let me quickly run to my own, what I found in the news to be interesting today. Now, this is not, it's not new, but these are recent updates and development about the incident. There was a plane crash actually earlier in the week on Monday.
In China, right?
Yes, in China, yes. So today my story is on the updates that parts of the engine have been found in the eastern plains of China. So the story goes that recovery teams in China have found parts of an engine of the China Eastern Airlines passenger plane has plunged into a mountainside with 132 people on board, and they searched for the aircraft's second black box through the mud and rain. The first black box had been found, and that was found on Wednesday, and they said it was relatively in good condition based on early assessment by the Civil Aviation Administration of China. And the recording material was being sent to Beijing for analysis by the officials. So the cockpit recorder, voice recorder would provide investigators with the details of communications that went on between the three pilots who were on the flight, who were navigating the flight. Unfortunately, even though no bodies have been found, they have reported to have found human tissue around. And the interesting thing about this flight was that at some point it plummeted, but it seemed that it was going to get itself back on track, and then it dipped again, and then the crash happened. Yeah. So and these have been devastating crashes over some years back in Asia. And this is yet another unfortunate situation. But it continues to unravel, and hopefully we'll continue to follow the story to get the updates about how far and what had they been able to uncover, especially with the black box that they have retrieved. Yes, yes.
From what I also gathered that in China, they hardly have plane crashes, basically, because it's one of the strongest airlines in the world.
Interestingly, the
aviation sector.
The pilot is said to be a 59-year-old man who is supposed to retire this year.
Oh, wow. That's
And he had several years of experience, and he was said to be a very safe and efficient pilot. And so for this to happen, it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. It is. Prayers are with the families who have lost their dear ones. Absolutely. And at this point, we're going to be going on a quick break because we are talking why people associate promiscuity with successful women. See you after the break.